The new opposition coalition in Nigeria under the umbrella of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, unveiled at the Yaradua Center in Abuja on Tuesday, has been met with mixed reactions. The event, which saw the convergence of several prominent political figures, including Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, Rotimi Amechi, and Nasiru El-Rufai, signaled a potential realignment of forces ahead of the 2027 general election. Former Senate President David Mark and former Minister of Interior Rauf Arigbeshola took on interim leadership roles. The gathering aims to present the ADC as the official platform for the new opposition coalition. Let's take some reactions. I'll take this from Festus Keyamo. He wrote a lengthy tweet, and I'll read it in part. He wrote, "What happened earlier today, that was yesterday, with the movement of the so-called coalition into the ADC is the greatest factor that has strengthened the APC ahead of the 2027 elections. Let me explain. By law, you cannot operate from or belong to two or multiple political parties. So it is safe to say that their open declaration for ADC today is a clear abandonment of their previous parties. In fact, belonging to two political parties is a ground for disqualification in an election. Therefore, the emergence of ADC as presently constituted marks the formal dismemberment of the PDP, hitherto Nigeria's strongest opposition party. Majority of the old guard in the PDP, who have apparently lost control of the party, have been pushed out of the party by the younger Turks within the PDP. That is why the gathering today was a conglomerate of former this and former that of the PDP. No matter how you look at it, this is just Atiku's faction of PDP in desperate search for the 2027 presidential ticket. Nothing more, nothing less. The person who the old cunning guards want to take for a ride in all of this is Peter Obi. They want his votes, but don't want to give him their presidential ticket because this is Atiku's show, Simplicita. That is why David Mark is the interim chairman. Those who know politics know what I am saying. But if you do not give Peter Obi the presidential ticket, you lose his supporters. It is as simple as that. And how can you make someone who won two regions in the last election, Southeast and South-South, a running mate to the person who won only by one region, Northeast? Therefore, when the dust settles, you will discover that PDP and the Labour Party have lost something. The ADC have only gained something like a caricature, but the APC has lost absolutely nothing. Before I take Peter Obi's response, I'll
to disagree.
Yes, go ahead.
Political tourism didn't just start with
political
the ADC.
what?
Tourism.
Tourism.
People who are hopping from party to party, they belong to one party. The other day, the metaphor I gave is that they have a passport of one party, but they have visas to visit all other parties when it's convenient. It didn't start with the ADC. So the precedent was set by the APC in the 2023 election, when we saw PDP governors stand boldly for the APC, and some of them even delivered their states to the APC. But it wasn't illegal at that point. So now suddenly we're saying, so I understand the point he is making. Yes, legally speaking, if you're contesting for the election, but some of these people will not be on the ballot. So there's no, what's the legal terminology? Is it locus? To say that they would be disqualified for the election. However, given the permutations, I think there's a lot to be said about the permutations that he has painted out there. What will happen to the obedience? I think that's a big conversation in all of this, because the obedience has grown in its force, and the obedience are very clear about their expectation. And we're still seeing the lingering ambition of Atiku Abubakar. And I think the real test of this coalition is going to be when it comes time to determine who is going to be the flag bearer. That's when we will see how much cohesion and love and kumbaya and spirits of one there really exists within the coalition.
Dr. Mati, did you want to chime in on Festus Keyamo's comment? Then I take Peter Obi's.
It's just basic common sense.
Yes.
You cannot belong to two political parties. These political parties, they have constitution. There's something written into all the constitutions where you say you cannot be in this party and be in that party. So it will be wrong to say that, oh, you can belong to two political parties. In a party that there is discipline, that person will be asked to leave that political party. So don't let us... to leave the PDP. Well, it's an anomalous situation. So, no, it's an anomalous situation. And there are persons within the PDP that are saying this is very strange.
Yes.
That's number one. Number two is that, whatever Festus Keyamo says, what do you expect him to say? Of course, he cannot welcome the opposition coalition that claims that it wants to remove a government that is serving from power. The third thing, of course, to say is that we should keep stressing the point that opposition politics is healthy for the growth of the democratic process, to the extent that those opposition politicians provide alternative ideas, and it's not a special purpose vehicle put together by strange bedfellows to grab power. That is where the problem can be, where it is personal interest. Now, this is not the first time, I said this earlier on, that we have had coalition politics in Nigeria, or, alliances and all of that. After all, in 2018, even President Obasanjo led a group called the Coalition for CMI, Coalition for Saving Nigeria or whatever. And the objective of that coalition was to prevent President Muhammadu Buhari from getting a second term. So a number of political parties, about 8 political parties, came together in May 2018, and they said they would stop Buhari. But how did it work out? By August, some people inside that ADC, they had moved away. It was this same ADC. Yeah. They went and formed their own new ADC. Of course, in 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari won the election. And that's why I said at the beginning of this program that what transpired yesterday and what is still going to happen, because this is just at once in one, it's going to be a test of, the wisdom, the political wisdom that is attributed to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Okay. Will he be the owner of the game, or will he find himself in a very difficult situation? But they must be concerned. And I do not think that the PDP is going to disappear, but it is weakening. And also, the coalition poses a threat to the ruling government, to the ruling president, particularly when you look at the profile of the people that were involved in the meeting yesterday. And more persons will still join. Yes. So the game is on. Okay. And, we keep watching, we keep saying it, but the power of incumbency, they work in President Tinubu's favor. But what he must not do is to try and close the door against democracy. All
right, we're not done, Rufai. The game is on. Let me take reactions. There are more reactions from this. This is Peter Obi's post on X yesterday. He wrote, yesterday the coalition members formally adopted the African Democratic Congress, ADC, for the 2027 Nigeria general election, with distinguished Senator David Mark serving as the national chairman and His Excellency Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola serving as the national secretary. Our commitment is to sacrifice and work together towards the 2027 general election, ensuring that Nigeria gets a competent, capable, and compassionate leadership that will prioritize the nation's future by putting the welfare of Nigerians first. This decision was not made lightly. It comes from deep reflection on where we are as a country and what must be done to move forward. No one group can change Nigeria alone. To dismantle the structures that keep our people in poverty and insecurity, we must build bridges, not walls, even when those bridges are uneasy. A new Nigeria is possible. In the meantime, former Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, announced his resignation from the APC on Tuesday, stating that he never believed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had the capacity to lead Nigeria. According to him, Tinubu has completely destroyed Nigeria with high inflation and economic hardship. He's quoted as saying, and I'll read his quote, "Nigeria is completely destroyed. People can't eat. There is no money to buy food. Everything is gone. Inflation is at its peak. And the federal government is busy going around trying to hijack the election. INEC is helping them to hijack the election. I left APC last night. I never attended one meeting. The last time they invited me, I won them. In fact, I was surprised that I wasn't even expelled because I won them in writing not to invite me to any meeting. I have never believed that Tinubu is a material to govern the country. I have never, because people now want Buhari to return. We see in Nigeria that when a new government takes over, it becomes worse than the previous government. People are asking for Buhari because things were better during Buhari's administration. Dollar was I think 460 naira or 500 and something. Well, he just quoted the high inflation at the point. But go ahead.
So let's bring out the facts. Because when politicians talk, they talk a lot. The dollar rate to the naira rate, we know, was a lot better, during Buhari. But also, let's not also forget the fact that we took a lot of ways and means. So there was a lot of debts too that we needed to deal with. And the same ambition as things were better during Buhari. At some point, I think, things went at loggerheads,
So people want Buhari back.
People will clamor for, Buhari back because of the hardship that's going on. But, Dr. Abati, I think I put a finger on it. You see, when people want to say things in this way, they say, oh, he studied animal science and everything. You see, my study of science, that gives me a better perspective of how Nigerian politicians behave. And I will tell you why. It's a theory in physics. As you said, anomalous. I remembered one theory called the anomalous expansion of water. Water has a unique behavior. It cools from 4 degrees to 0 degrees, then freezes to ice. Most liquid contract as they cool. But when water reaches its maximum density at 4 degrees, then it expands as it gets colder, becoming less dense. This expansion is due to formation of crystalline structure, which bore molecules between when water freezes. So a lot of our Nigerian politicians follow the principle of the anomalous expansion of water. That's principle number 1. Principle number 2 is mercury. Have you ever wondered why when somebody changes, they call him mercurial? I will tell you based on my science training. It's coming to good news today. Mercury is a metallic element, but it is liquid when it's at standard temperature and pressure. Standard temperature and pressure, room temperature is about 25 degrees centigrade. It is known as quicksilver. So, for all the politicians that are here and are there, you will know that they are mercurial in relation. So that's the answer to your question about how Wike can be a member of the PDP and serve with the APC government and because of katakata in the PDP. So
Rufai, we're going to continue on the conversation.
Politics,
yes,
not science.
That's the explanation.
Not chemistry.
Science
explains politics.
Science explains politics.
Yes.
That's what you think. Okay.
Okay. There's something called social science.
Yes.
And social science is about human beings, but it's not science qua science, either in physics or my main point is that political parties, they represent aggregations of interests of persons who have a similar objective and who have agreed to come together. And that's why they are governed by constitution. That's why INEC talks about internal democracy. And that's why I say it's a strange and unusual situation whereby you will be in this party, you will also be in that party. If you want to be a toad, be a toad. If you want to be a fish, really, be a fish. Yes. So this amphibious behavior that we're trying to legitimize in Nigerian politics is unacceptable. It's a devaluation, of the standard that we have seen elsewhere. So we should not justify it. I know Rufai is talking about how people behave. What is not normal in other parts of the world has become the new normal in Nigeria.
The new normal.
That's how to put it in political science.
This is it. But more on this coalition. I just want to wrap up on the coalition. The former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, has also dumped the APC for the ADC. Malami announced his resignation on Tuesday, citing wide consultation and deep personal reflection. He described the ADC as a preferred party for a coalition dedicated to saving Nigeria from its current struggles. He also expressed deep concern over the nation's state, lamenting widespread insecurity, particularly in the north, and a crumbling economy. Malami criticized the government for prioritizing politics over citizens' safety and focusing on propaganda instead of solutions, adding that he could no longer be part of a system that remained silent while Nigerians suffered. Of course, Bimba, you know that this will garner a lot of reaction. This is just ordinary 2 years ago. You were Attorney General of the Federation. Let me take this tweet from Dari, who wrote, Malami, the same man accused of looting over 800 billion naira while in office, is now preaching about justice and national renewal. Spare us the drama. If he loved Nigeria so much, maybe he should have explained what happened to those missing funds. First, this is nothing but a desperate rebrand by politicians who see they've lost relevance in APC. Nigerians aren't fooled. You can't wash away years of questionable deals with sweet speeches. Do you agree with this one tweet now, Vimbai, on this comment? Let's just wrap up this conversation, because this is it.
It reinforces the chemistry and the physics of the mercurialism and the anomalous. So what is this? Expansion of water. You know, that at the end of the day, it's about, you know, what is good for me.
Yes.
And I just hope that when all is said and done, the people's votes will count.
Yes.
And let the people stand for their votes. There's not enough being said about electoral reform.
Yes.
And that's the most unfortunate thing, is that as we're all now, you know, taken captive by these political developments, as exciting as they may be, the concern is that the real tangible things that need to be done for 2027 to be the people's real and final vote are still pending. So, you know, human beings will always be human beings. We're all opportunistic by nature. If you see somewhere where you think you might serve your interests in one form or another, many people are likely to jump ship. And it was Malam Abdullahi earlier who was saying that, well, do you want us to manufacture new politicians? These are the politicians that exist, so we have to work with what we have.
All right.
Well, maybe also a call for new people to get involved in politics, to get excited in politics. Even people from the private sector to take an interest as well. Let's also see some fresh faces. You can't force them. These politicians also, they're working with what they have. So,
all right.
In fact, people like you, as a Nigerian wife, get involved in Nigerian politics.
Yes, everyone should get involved. Well,
I'll see you, whether we will not withdraw your